A fake smile is the easiest lie to believe. When I joined Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's smile was everywhere, on banners, screens, and the faces of people who needed to believe in something. But behind that grin, he was fading. His speeches grew sharper even as his body weakened, like his words were being pulled out of him instead of spoken. And every time he stumbled, his wife Erika was there. Steady hand, perfect posture, watching him with a devotion that felt more like ownership than love. I was the new hire who noticed the quiet things, the lights that dimmed when he spoke, the way her reflection smiled before she did. I thought I'd been hired to help spread his message. I didn't realize I was walking into the moment it would consume him, because in the end, his voice didn't die. She made sure it never could. I used to think purpose was something you could schedule. Wake up, clock in, save the country before lunch. That's what I told myself the morning I drove across the desert into Arizona, the sun already punishing the horizon. The Turning Point USA headquarters rose out of the heat like a fortress of glass, modern, patriotic, spotless. I remember feeling proud just to see the flag snapping on the roof. I'd left a marketing job that paid better, because this one, they said, meant something. You'll be helping shape the conversation, the recruiter promised. I wanted to believe that. Inside, the air smelled like new carpet and disinfectant. The lobby gleamed with posters of smiling young patriots, arms crossed, eyes lifted toward invisible futures. Behind the reception desk, monitors looped highlights of Charlie Kirk's speeches. His cadence was magnetic, steady, persuasive, the kind of voice that made you want to stand taller. I remember thinking, he believes it. Maybe I can too. The HR coordinator handed me a badge with my name printed in bold navy letters. "Welcome to the family," she said. The badge was still warm from the printer. It felt like an invitation and a contract all at once. My first day was orientation, a blur of acronyms and smiling department heads. They called the place a communications ecosystem. Every floor hummed with motion, video teams, editing reels, research analysts cross-checking headlines, interns clipping sound bites for social media. It felt efficient, almost surgical. No chaos, no wasted breath. Patriotism turned into workflow. When I met Charlie Kirk that afternoon, he was everything I expected. Tall, confident, eyes sharp with focus. His handshake was firm, but brief, practiced. "We're thrilled to have you," he said. "We need good voices here, real voices." He looked directly at me when he said it, and I felt seen in a way that bordered on performance. Then he was gone, escorted by 2 aides with tablets, already mid-conversation about the next broadcast. Erika Kirk appeared moments later, the kind of woman who made silence feel curated. Perfect posture, controlled smile, presence calibrated for trust. She greeted me by name without checking a list. "Charlie says you're talented," she said, tone soft but exact. "I can always tell when someone still believes in something." I laughed nervously. "I'm just excited to help." Her smile deepened, pleasant, but assessing. "Good. We reward conviction here." The office was colder than I expected. Every wall carried screens, hallway, break room, even the elevator. Charlie's face followed us everywhere, looping the same segments. Because truth doesn't need rehearsal. The irony didn't strike me until later. People spoke in careful tones as if the microphones weren't only on set. When Erika passed through, conversations shrank to murmurs, then silence. She never raised her voice, never needed to. The air adjusted around her. My cubicle overlooked the main studio. From there, I could watch the daily tapings. Camera crews choreographed like surgeons, teleprompters glowing with exact phrasing. Charlie's delivery never faltered. When the red light cut, he'd glance toward Erika, waiting. Not for approval exactly, but confirmation, as though her nod rebooted him. Once during a coffee break, I asked a tech if they ever recorded live without a script. He smiled like he'd misheard. "Why risk it?" he said. "The message is perfect already." He meant it as reassurance. Somehow it felt like a warning. Weeks passed. I memorized the rhythms, the morning pledge over the intercom, the hum of servers, the low buzz of fluorescent lights that never seemed to shut off completely. Productivity felt holy here. Even exhaustion had a purpose. But at night, when most of the staff had left, the building changed. The monitors stayed on, replaying speeches from earlier in the day. I'd catch myself listening from my desk, realizing the same 10-minute segment was looping word for word, down to the cough between sentences. And yet, something about the tone shifted each time. Slower, heavier, like the voice itself was tired. One evening, I stayed late finishing a press release. Through the glass wall, I saw Charlie alone in the studio, sitting perfectly still under the dim light. Erika stood behind him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. They weren't speaking, just breathing in sync, her gaze fixed on the back of his head. For a moment, it looked tender, then too long, too still. I looked away first. Driving home that night, the radio played one of his new segments. I recognized every word, yet it sounded distant, processed, like it had passed through too many filters. When he said, we will not be silenced, I felt a shiver, not pride. It was the tone, mechanical, exact, as if silence wasn't an option anymore. By the end of my first month, the optimism that had carried me there began to dull. I kept telling myself it was just adjustment, new job, new mission, but the truth was simpler. The place worked too well. Every word rehearsed, every smile timed to the beat of a teleprompter. Even sincerity had a format. I wrote it off as professional discipline. After all, I'd joined to help, not to question. Still, sometimes, walking the halls, I'd feel the cameras follow just a second too long, their red lights pulsing like steady heartbeats. I'd tell myself they were for security, but when I caught my reflection in one of the wall screens, I didn't look secure. I looked rehearsed. On my 32nd day, Erika stopped by my cubicle. "You're settling in," she said, eyes on the half-finished draft on my screen. "Your tone matches his beautifully." "Thank you," I said, proud without knowing why. She smiled that slow, approving smile. "Keep listening to his speeches. The more you hear them, the easier it gets to speak the truth." That night, I replayed her words, unsure which part unsettled me more, the advice or the assumption. I tell myself now that nothing bad happened that first month. No threats, no accidents, no obvious wrong, just work, just purpose. But sometimes horror doesn't start with what's done to you. It starts with what you agree to repeat. And every morning after that, when the broadcast cue echoed through the halls, "Live in 3, 2, I'd hear a faint whisper behind the countdown, like another voice overlapping his. Not louder, just closer. At first, I thought it was just fatigue. A job like ours didn't really stop. It recycled. Every week, the same slogans, the same talking points, just rearranged like puzzle pieces that never formed a new picture. The schedule became ritual. Arrive at 8, smile at the cameras, watch the message repeat itself until it became background noise. But something in that repetition started to feel off. Too perfect, too synchronized. One morning, while drafting a social post, I noticed Charlie's latest speech contained a line I'd written word for word in a press release the week before. At first, I was proud, then uneasy. He hadn't been copied in the email thread, yet there it was. My sentence in his voice, my phrasing softened by that calm, magnetic delivery. It wasn't plagiarism, it was absorption. The building absorbed everything we said and fed it back through him. Charlie looked different now. He still carried himself like the man on the posters, but the brightness behind his eyes had thinned. His handshake was colder, his smile slower to arrive. He'd light up for a camera, beam for the crowd, then deflate the second the red light went dark. Sometimes during breaks, I'd pass by the studio window and see him rubbing his neck with 2 fingers, just below the jawline, a small, constant gesture, as though pressing down on a bruise. Erika was always near, adjusting his collar, whispering, anchoring him back upright. She called it energy management. "He gives so much of himself on air," she told me once, her voice smooth as glass. "He needs grounding afterward. Otherwise, he fades too fast." She smiled like it was a joke. I didn't laugh. Over time, Charlie's presence became spectral. Some days he wouldn't be seen at all, yet new videos still appeared on the monitors, fresh speeches posted to the feed, his voice as clear as ever. I checked the production logs once, a harmless curiosity. Every upload time-stamped at odd hours, 3:07 a.m., 4:42 a.m., times when the studio was supposed to be locked. When I asked a technician who handled night shifts, he frowned. "There are no night shifts," he said, then quietly, "But you didn't hear that from me." Erika's authority filled the gap Charlie left. She began running morning briefings, quoting his words like scripture. "Our strength," she'd say, "is consistency. One voice, one message." We all repeated it because it sounded right, but soon her phrasing crept into ours. Email signatures, internal memos, even small talk. I'd catch myself echoing her rhythm without thinking. My coworkers did it too. If Charlie was the broadcast, Erika was the transmitter. Once, after a long taping, she caught me staring at the teleprompter. "You're wondering how he remembers every word," she said softly. I admitted it. She tilted her head, amused. "He doesn't have to. The message remembers him." The night that changed everything started ordinary. Deadlines, coffee, screens. I stayed late to finish an internal report. The office after hours was a different animal. Silent, fluorescent, almost holy. Passing the studio corridor, I noticed a thin line of light beneath the door. Someone was still inside. I shouldn't have looked. Through the glass, Charlie sat perfectly still under a single spotlight. No cameras, no crew. Erika stood behind him, both hands on his shoulders. They didn't speak. The air between them looked thick, charged, like the pause between lightning and thunder. Her mouth moved near his ear, slow, deliberate words I couldn't hear. His chest rose and fell like something mechanical. Then his head drooped forward. She didn't react, just kept her hand there, palm against the back of his neck. A faint sound bled through the studio speakers, a low, rhythmic hum that might have been his breathing. I stepped back, heart pounding. The corridor lights flickered once, then steadied. When I turned to leave, one of the hallway monitors switched on by itself. Charlie's face filled the screen, frozen mid-speech. The audio lagged by half a second, his lips moving first, the words arriving later, as if traveling from somewhere deeper underground. Truth doesn't need rehearsal. The same line again, but wrong somehow, stretched, heavier. I left my report unfinished that night. The next morning, no one mentioned any late-night recording. Charlie walked past my desk, paler than ever, tie slightly crooked. "Morning," he said, voice faintly rasped. I wanted to ask if he was okay, but Erika appeared behind him like a shadow that had learned to speak. She placed a hand on his back. "He's fine," she said for him. Then to me, "How are the drafts coming?" That's when I realized she always answered questions meant for him. I started doubting myself. Maybe stress had warped what I'd seen. Maybe the sound was an echo, or the late-night hum of servers. But later that week, while prepping clips for social media, I noticed a frame glitch. For half a second between cuts, Charlie's mouth stayed open while the audio kept going. It looked like his voice was leaving without him. I replayed it again and again until the software crashed. When it rebooted, the clip was gone. The message from Erika came just after sunset. "I trust your discretion. We're preparing a private recording tonight. Can you assist?" No signature, no emoji, just that. I stared at it for a long time, thumb hovering above delete. Then I typed, "Of course." Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I wanted to believe there was still a reasonable explanation. When I reached the building, the parking lot was empty, except for Erika's sedan, gleaming under the floodlights. The lobby lights were dimmed. Even the patriotic posters looked muted, their smiles half erased by shadow. She met me at the elevator, calm as ever. "Thank you for coming," she said. "This won't take long." The doors slid shut behind us with a hiss. The ride felt slower than usual, as if the elevator itself were thinking about each floor. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet, like overheated plastic. We stopped on a level I didn't recognize. The hallway was narrow, unmarked. A red exit sign flickered, its reflection smearing across the glass walls. "This is our sound archive," Erika said, "where we preserve what matters." The room was small, no windows, just acoustic foam covering every surface. It was too quiet. Not silent, but pressurized, like the air itself was holding its breath. Microphones dangled from the ceiling on black cords, swaying almost imperceptibly, their tips catching the light like needles. Monitors lined the far wall, frozen on a still frame of Charlie smiling into the camera. His face looked alive, yet paused mid-sentence, as if waiting for a cue. A green waveform pulsed at the bottom of the screen, steady, heartbeat rhythmic. Erika moved gracefully among the consoles, switching dials, adjusting sliders. "We used to record everything upstairs," she said, "but this room keeps the purity better. Less interference." I wanted to ask what that meant, but the question felt intrusive, almost rude. When she finally turned toward me, her expression softened. "You've seen how tired he's become. It isn't easy carrying a nation's hope in your throat." Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but conviction. "He gives more of himself than most people ever could," I said quietly. She smiled, approving. "Exactly. But devotion consumes. So we find ways to lighten the load." She gestured for me to sit at a small console. The chair was cold metal, grounding. On the desk sat a set of headphones, a mic, and a notepad already labeled with my name. "Just listen for me," she said. "Tell me if the tone feels authentic." I slipped on the headphones. At first there was only static, a faint hiss, like wind caught inside a pipe. Then Charlie's voice emerged, soft, familiar. "We believe in freedom." The cadence was perfect, the energy confident. But there was a faint delay, an echo that followed half a beat later. I glanced up at Erika. She was watching me, not the screen. "Does it sound alive to you?" she asked. "I think so," I said, "but it's slower than usual." Her smile widened. "That's the human part. It fades slower than the rest." The playback continued. Charlie recited slogans I'd written, then ones no one had, phrases I'd never heard before. "The work continues. We outlast ourselves." Then he said my name, clearly, calmly. Every hair on my arm stood up. I pulled off the headphones. That can't be him. He's not." Erika raised a hand, patient, almost maternal. "He's fine." Her tone carried the same certainty as prayer. She pressed a key on the console. Another track began, breathing, slow, heavy, unmistakably human. "He's resting now," she said. "I only need his voice." That's what people listen to. That's what will live forever. I couldn't look away. The waveform on the screen expanded and contracted in perfect rhythm with the breathing. Every inhale glowed green. Every exhale faded to black. "You make it sound like he's..." I hesitated. "Still here." Erika tilted her head, considering. "He is. Just refined. We took away everything that interfered. The hunger, the doubt, the ego. What's left is the message." Her voice had that same evenness Charlie used in interviews, the one that made people nod along without realizing. For a moment, I caught myself nodding too. A faint thump echoed through the floor, like a heartbeat transmitted through metal. Erika didn't react. "Do you hear it?" she asked softly. "Yes. That's the system maintaining equilibrium. We call it the breath. Every voice we preserve adds a little more to it." "How many voices?" I asked. She gave a small, almost affectionate laugh, enough to fill the silence. She turned back to the console and increased the gain. The room vibrated. Charlie's breathing grew louder, layered with whispers beneath it. Male, female, indistinct. "Sometimes," she continued, "when he's very still, the others speak through him. Like a choir, I stood. 'I should go.' 'You could stay,' she said gently. 'You have a beautiful tone. People would listen to you. I'm not.' 'You already do the work,' she interrupted. 'Writing his words. You've given more of yourself than you realize.' Her gaze fixed on me, calm and unblinking. 'Once you've heard it, you're part of it.' The hum deepened, becoming almost subsonic. My chest ached with each pulse. On the monitors, Charlie's still image blinked for the first time. Barely perceptible, but real. His lips parted, and through the speakers came a sound, between a sigh and a word. I took a step back. Erika's voice lowered to a whisper. "Don't be afraid. He's learning to breathe without us." Another blink. His mouth formed a shape, an O, then an A, then nothing. A wet exhale followed, muffled by static. "Stop it," I said, louder than I meant. Erika turned one dial to 0. Instantly, the sound died. The silence felt wrong, like cutting off life support. She exhaled through her nose, serene. "You see? Even silence obeys him." I moved toward the door. "You can leave whenever you want," she said. "But you'll hear him again. In your car, in your phone, in your dreams maybe. That's how the message travels." Her tone wasn't threatening. It was a promise. Several weeks passed before I went back. I told myself it was just to collect a few files, clear my desk, move on. The building looked the same. Too clean, too calm. The front monitors played old broadcasts on a loop. No one whispered, no one questioned. If you didn't know, you'd think nothing had happened. That morning, my phone vibrated with a breaking news alert. Erika Kirk shot in the neck at campus event. I read it twice, waiting to feel something. Before the shot could land, a second notification replaced it, an email. Subject: continuity transition. Sender: system at TPNET. Effective immediately, all external communications will be managed by central automation. Your previous work has been integrated into the master voice. Do not attempt to contact leadership. No greeting, no signature. The reply button was gray. When I closed the laptop, a faint hiss came from my speakers, static folding into whispers. I recognized the rhythm, my own sentences, the ones I'd drafted months ago, spoken in Charlie's cadence and carried on Erika's breath. They overlapped until meaning dissolved into tone. For days, I tried to ignore it. Then curiosity took over. I dug through old drives, backups, archived clips. Every file, every folder open to the same loop. We outlast ourselves. No metadata, no timestamps. Just that line repeating endlessly, each version slightly different, as if the system were learning how to say it better. The official servers were supposed to be offline, but upload logs kept refreshing. On a tech forum, someone claimed TPNet was still posting new videos from mirror sites with no listed admin access. Not haunting. Automation. A machine that didn't know it was supposed to die. One night, I gave up pretending to sleep and drove back to headquarters. The parking lot was empty, but the windows glowed like aquarium glass. Inside, every monitor played the same synchronized broadcast. Charlie at a podium, Erika beside him, their smiles frozen mid-truth. I climbed the stairwell to the roof. From there, the city stretched below, a living circuit board of light. Billboards, phones, office screens, all playing that same clip. Every phrase I'd ever written, every edit, every late-night revision, none of it had been for him. He wasn't the message. He was the vessel. She didn't love him, I whispered. She needed him. Down on the street, his mouth kept moving, but the voice was hers now, her tone woven inside his. Not possession, replacement. A nearby billboard zoomed tight on her face. Her eyes reflected the waveform pulsing behind her. Alive, mathematical, almost organic. In that reflection, I finally saw it. Erika hadn't preserved him. She'd perfected herself. The broadcast wasn't about immortality. It was about control. She'd built a world that would never stop listening. The wind rose, carrying the overlapping chorus, his tone, her whisper, and impossibly mine. 3 voices merging into one perfect frequency. We outlast ourselves. The skyline pulsed with the words. Every billboard inhaled light. Every street speaker exhaled it. Believers became echoes. Silence repeated. I stood there until the city felt alive beneath me, breathing in her rhythm. She'd never needed an audience, just resonance. And now even silence obeyed her. She said his voice would live forever. I just didn't know she meant hers. Static swells, then thins to a single tone. If you can still hear me, keep listening, like this transmission. Subscribe before the signal finds you, and keep your volume low, because silence, too, is part of the message.